All right, quick break before we get started here today. I want to tell you about something that keeps coming up with the brands that I talk to. Now, here's the reality. If you're running paid ads right now, your ad platforms are probably only seeing about 40% of your actual conversions. Think about the iOS restrictions, the ad blockers, all these privacy changes that have happened over the last few years. They've all created this massive blind spot in your data. And so you're making these ad decisions based on incomplete information. And I've watched brands kill campaigns, honestly, that were actually working. They've just looked like losers in the dashboard. But I've also seen people pour money into campaigns that look great. But the reality is these are just taking credit for sales that they didn't drive. And so if you're spending $500 a month or even $50,000 a month, to me, that's really expensive guessing, and that's what my sponsor on today's episode actually solves. Their company is called WeTracked, and they're at wetracked.io. It completely fixes this problem. They are the number one highest rated ad tracking solution on Shopify. They have over 7,000 brands that are using this solution to get accurate conversion data back to Meta and back to Google. And technically, it just bypasses all of the tracking restrictions so that these algorithms can start actually learning your store and what's actually working. And the setup takes 5 minutes. There's no coding required. And believe it or not, they actually have real human support 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There's not a ticketing system. And literally, you can test out their solution right now for 14 days. And you can see the difference, honestly, in your data right away. So you can go to wetracked.io/e-commerce fast lane, or you can just go to the show notes. There's a special link in this episode, and you get a special 10% off for you, our amazing listeners. So, all right, let's jump back into today's conversation.
You're listening to E-commerce Fastlane, the podcast show to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company, powered by Shopify. Listen to real conversations with partners and subject matter experts as they share proven practical strategies, platforms, and the best Shopify apps to help you accelerate your business. The time is now for you to improve efficiencies, grow revenue, profit, and lifetime customer loyalty. Please welcome your host, startup founder and strategic advisor, Steve Hutt.
Well, hey there. Welcome back to E-commerce Fastlane. I'm your host, Steve Hutt. Now, today we're going to talk a little about discount codes because I know that if you're running a Shopify store, you are very likely using them. And it's interesting that the game, I believe, has really changed a lot. Like customers, fortunately or unfortunately, are kind of expecting them. And I know your competitors definitely are running with discount codes. And I think for most brands, they are kind of a critical kind of conversion lever, I would kind of call it. But here's what I'm seeing, like most merchants are kind of treating discount codes a little more tactically. They're kind of throwing out some promo codes, and I'm wondering, like, are the brands really winning by doing this? Like, are they truly discounting strategically, or is it truly a growth tool? And I think that's the problem. I think there really is a shift that's happening right now. And I think even last month, Shopify kind of made a massive kind of platform change, and they increased this kind of what they call this product variant limit. It was 100, and I think now it's like 2,048 or something. And that's like, a 20x jump now. And like for brands that, that have very complex catalogs, this changes a lot of things. And so that's why I want to have my guest on today, because I want to talk about strategic discounting and why it's very essential for the success of a business. And my guest today is Kara Martin, and she's the product owner for bulk discount code bot, and it's by a company called Seguno, widely appreciated as for their email marketing platform. And they've kind of branched out over the years with other apps that kind of connect to their main core platform, but their dedicated apps do a lot of things. And the product that she manages is currently trusted by, from what I can see here, more than 20,000 brands, big brands that we all know and love. Viore, which is like I love Viore. SodaStream, I have one. Allbirds, there's a whole bunch of brands here that actually connect to this kind of solution. And I know Kara's team really has done a lot of work recently, and I want to talk about a PDF that she has created. And it's quite interesting. It's a benchmark report that was put together, and we're going to dig into that one. So hi, Kara. Welcome to E-commerce Fastlane.
Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. So take me back right to the beginning because I really just want to set the stage a bit about Seguno, the company, because like I said, inside Shopify, they were always a notable email marketing platform player that I would say, hey, you have a couple different options to choose from. You have the OmniSends, you have the Klaviyo's. Oh, and by the way, have you heard of Seguno? I think it's nice to get to the table, and I always let people know about that in my early days at Shopify. But can you talk about just Seguno, the company, and kind of like its kind of iteration over the last few years?
Yeah. So I'm not one of the founders, so let's disclaim it with that.
True.
But Seguno is a software company that has the mission of building better marketing tools for Shopify merchants. And like you said, we're known pretty well for our email marketing platform, where the main differentiator is it's built entirely inside Shopify and is very simple and easy to use and gets you results without complexity. And that's probably what we're known the best for. And there are other apps in that suite that support it. And then one of the features in the email marketing platform is a unique discount code feature. And we learned that a lot of merchants who use a different email marketing platform want a unique discount code generator app plus more that stands on its own. And so that's what Bulk Discount Code Bot is.
So, okay, let's talk a bit about it in general, about like why do you believe it's an interesting strategy to have? Because I mean, I guess we all kind of know that, customers kind of expect something, but I'm just curious about the implementation of it because sometimes it's just very one-off, and then I'm worried about like these different solutions that scrape coupon codes and reshare them, and then there's this whole margin loss kind of problem where would they have automatically purchased without the coupon code? And then you think about the influencers using their own kind of dedicated coupon codes. So I just want to hear it from you first about like when did you notice that this is actually a problem, and then this actual solution now kind of solves that problem?
Yeah, it's a great question. So first thing, just to make sure everyone's on the same page who's listening, so unique codes are personalized discount codes. So unlike something that's like welcome 10, it has a random string of characters, so every person gets a code that's only theirs. And so the most, like the first thing that comes to mind when people think of unique codes usually is that it prevents coupon abuse. So if it's a one-time use unique code, it can't be leaked to a coupon sharing site because it can only be used once. And so that's a great thing. But what makes me really excited about them isn't that actually, that's a good feature. It's that when you use unique discount codes, you can create targeted offers that are a lot more strategic and effective than blanket discounts. So you can offer one customer segment, one discount, a different customer segment, a different discount. You can base it off of behavior, and you can be much more targeted. So you can break that cycle of customers expecting discounts and not being willing to pay full price, and at the same time give each customer exactly what they need to convert.
I see. So then with Shopify like increasing this variant limit, as I mentioned, like from this 100 to 248 or 2048, knowing that is that something interesting as to why this solution works so well? I want to make sure there's like a correlation between kind of like Shopify's kind of platform, or is this solution itself just generating this random code that belongs with like in a one-on-one kind of relationship based on it triggering it?
So I think you'll be able to speak to the variants better than me. I know
Okay.
about them at a higher level, so I'll just
Yeah.
name with that. But one thing that's important to how our app works, and there are other apps that do the same thing that hopefully work in the same way, is that it's fully embedded and integrated with Shopify. So you can do things like select that this discount only applies to this product or this collection. And that's another way to just target and ensure that the discount is only being used in the way it's intended. And we actually have a separate feature that it comes with your free trial where we'll actually run an audit on all of your discounts. So you could have never used our app before. It's just all discounts you have in Shopify. And we'll look for things like, are your discounts restricted to certain collections? Are they restricted to certain customers? Do you have max shipping set? Things like that. So that could be handy.
Yeah. I'm looking at this just kind of before recording this benchmark report that you put together. And, I guess you're mentioning here that, you analyze 162,000 kind of discount code sets. And what do you think the biggest pattern that you're seeing here that kind of maybe separates some of these high growth brands from like everybody else when it comes to like how they're structuring, maybe even in deploying these codes?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yeah, we had 162,000 discount code sets, and we just wanted to see what are the patterns broken down across different dimensions like plus, non-plus, region, industry. What are the patterns of how people are discounting? And one of the most important takeaways, which didn't surprise me, but is kind of disappointing, is that plus brands discount with unique discount codes a lot more than non-plus. And
Mm,
my belief is that it's because they have more dedicated resources to think about discount strategy, and they see that it grows revenue year round, not just BFCM. And so they're running these discounts that are actually very easy to run. And so
mhm.
what I want to see is more smaller brands also leaning into these strategic discounts and growing revenue that way.
Mhm. And that's one of the advantages of having the bulk discount code bot actually running is because it lets you kind of at least execute on the same kind of level as like kind of the Vioras of the world that actually do this kind of one-on-one discounting through the use of dedicated codes, one-on-one for each client.
Yes, and it sounds complicated, I feel like, as we're describing it, but
I know.
it's not complicated. It's very simple. It's like you press like 3 buttons, and then you have your unique discount codes running fully integrated in Klaviyo or wherever you are. And yeah, it grows revenue. So I
Yes.
think it's a big miss to not lean into these.
I know, so interesting. Like I said, I agree with you because the data does show that plus brands. That I guess you even note here. I just kind of scribbled on my sheet here, but they said plus brands created like unique codes, like 2.67 times more than non-plus brands, which is so interesting. So what does that gap tell us about the sophistication or the scale of discounting? Because it just seems like why is it that I know you said maybe it's a labor thing and there's more structure in a larger plus brand, but where smaller brands maybe they just get caught up in the minutia of like, well, what hat am I wearing today? Instead of like maybe today's podcast, they get to spend some intentional time and think, oh yeah, I'm not really discounting very effectively, and maybe I should. Is that really what you believe is happening? Where sophisticated brands are using it clearly based on your research, where smaller brands should be doing it because the bigger brands are also doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's really two things probably, and this is my hypothesis. This wasn't in the data, but I think on the one hand, smaller brands don't have as many resources as larger brands. So that and the perception of it being challenging to set up this type of targeted discounting might hinder it, but it's not. It's actually really easy. And then I think the second thing that I hear from smaller merchants who haven't thought as much about discounting is I don't want to devalue my brand. And if I'm
Right.
doing all this discounting, like maybe some large brand can do that, but I don't want to devalue my brand. And the thing is, when you do targeted discounts with unique discount codes, they're not blanket on your site. They're not on a coupon sharing site. Only the people who you're offering it to are aware that you're doing a discount. And you can do things like tie it to marketing life cycle, tie it to loyalty, employee discounts, student discounts, whatever. Those like there's all these different specific types of discounts that make them pretty unpredictable. And so they really don't devalue your brand in the same way.
I think I'm guilty of this where, I'll add something to the cart knowing that I like it, but I do a quick search, either like through an AI solution like
Mm-hmm.
Perplexity or Claude or something. And then I have Honey or Capital One Shopping kind of, things running in my Chrome browser. No coupons come up. I add to cart, wait 24 hours and wait for the cart abandonment or cart recovery email that comes through. And a lot of good brands typically don't discount right away. It's like, hey, you know what? You likely forgot something in your cart. Oh, by the way, here it is. And I think a lot of main brands do that. But I find it interesting that sometimes when that doesn't work, I think the whole idea here is that I guess we're not kind of like training customers to wait for discounts. I think it's interesting where with your solution it seems more targeted discounting. It still protects the brand perception of like always having discounts available, but when one does come one-on-one with this long string of code or characters after, it's like, oh, wow, this is for me only, and it expires like in 3 or 4 days. That seems interesting to me, and it actually gets that FOMO going, right?
Definitely, definitely. And I'd say you're a savvy consumer to do that, and we should all do that probably.
Mm,
But one of the things for larger brands as a takeaway that I was so surprised by is browse abandonment, checkout abandonment. Those are way underused compared to other marketing life cycle, even
mm,
among larger brands. So
mm.
larger brands are doing new subscribers and win back most commonly, and also post-purchase. But much less common was the abandonment discounts, which most consumers are probably not as savvy as you to do that. We should all be that savvy, but I think most brands should also be offering those, and you just have to figure out that right timeline.
Yeah, exactly. Now, what about attribution? Because it's always been a conversation from a lot of brands, like these third-party cookie challenges that are dying. Obviously, Apple's kind of trying to, behind their walled garden with iOS privacy changes and things like that. And, I don't know, percentages like less than 20% of people are accepting, the the fact that they don't mind people tracking them and then want that kind of online experience. So with all of these things happening, like how do you believe that these unique codes are giving merchants kind of a better, cleaner data than maybe what they're seeing in Meta or Google, like they're in their ads dashboard?
Yeah, yeah. So that's a really important thing about unique discount codes, which is they go specifically to one person. So you
Mhm.
are very confident
Yeah.
that you're very confident with attribution, even more confident than with cookies that may not work sometimes and things like that. And especially for most of the marketers I speak with who are using our app are being very intentional. Even if they haven't been discounting before using us as much, they're very intentional with how they do marketing. They really want to see attribution so they know what's working and they can double down on that. And if you're having codes leaked to coupon sharing sites, then you don't know what people are converting from, right? You don't know if it was actually from that campaign you did or if it's just that they were about to check out because they found you some other way and then they had Honey or Capital One Shopee leak a code into there. So yeah, definitely for accurate attribution, it just tells you exactly who's making the purchase and what that last touch was.
I see. What's interesting too, I noticed that like the data is kind of showing that like these seasonal campaigns are likely the biggest kind of use case, but I feel that there's other things out there too, like through the affiliate side or the life cycle side that you've kind of mentioned. Like, so like how do you believe a brand maybe should structure their unique codes differently for these different channels? Like, is there anything tactically you can talk about from like the seasonal campaigns or the affiliate campaigns or maybe even these life cycle campaigns?
Yeah, so I think so the seasonal discounts in our report, that was I think 32% of all of the use cases. And just to clarify, that doesn't include holiday, it doesn't include BFCM. So
Right.
that's like fall sale, things
Right.
like that.
Mhm.
And I think that the main thing you want to do with seasonal and also with holidays, think for your brand, like what are those seasonal moments that matter the most? And there are some common patterns, but it's also different for every brand. And so if you have those, I'm not sure exactly with how to structure them. It's pretty straightforward. It's based on whatever channel you want to send them out to. You'll generate them in our app or a different one and then export to direct mail. We have a direct integration with Klaviyo, so they can directly go there, export to SMS other than Klaviyo. And so that's just how the flow works. And then for affiliate, we most commonly see people using Mention Me. So basically you just generate a bunch of codes and then you have your influencers lined up and you put the codes through Mention Me and it handles the distribution. And we find affiliate was 15% of all use cases. It was one of the biggest ones. And that did surprise me. And when we talked to our merchants, we learned that when it comes to influencers, you're paying them a solid amount of money and you want to really be sure that the ROI is there. And so the unique discount codes, yeah, make it so that you can measure what's working and pay
Ah.
accordingly.
I see. And so then what about like a brand that, they have I don't know, let's say 100,000 email subscribers, but they've organized them into different customer segments. Like I think about there's some VIPs or they're repeat customers or they're one time or they're subscribers or they're, the current subscription people potentially, and they're trying to do word of mouth marketing. So it's interesting, like how do you think, I mean, I don't know anything too tactical here, but I think it's interesting that there are these different segments available of customers. And I know the app has that option of like creating unique codes based on these different campaigns that a marketer may want to do. Can you talk a bit about these different types of customer segments and how maybe you've seen others kind of use the app to maybe create campaigns against these different types of customers?
Yeah, definitely. So I think the segments you mentioned are exactly right. Like your VIPs usually will get any sale before anyone else, and they'll get special sales. And so whether you're using a loyalty program and integrating with that, or you have it just segmented in your email directly, VIPs are definitely really important. And then the really cool thing with unique discount codes is like, let's say you take two segments and you think someone who's made like 3 or more purchases in the past isn't going to need a very big discount to convert because they're at the time where they're going to convert again, make another purchase. And then someone who hasn't made a purchase yet but has come to your site a bunch of times, you're trying to get them to convert. You can experiment with different discounts for those different segments. And it's not just different percentages off or fixed amounts off. It's also different like buy X, get Y, or different structured discounts. And you can really kind of narrow down and find out for this type of customer, what is it that's most compelling to them.
Oh, I see. Now, from a technical perspective, then, because I understand there's this auto sync feature with Klaviyo. I think that, from what I understand, it auto replenishes codes so that brands don't like run out mid campaign. Can you talk a little about like how does how does all that work? Like, how does a brand kind of, I don't know, miscalculate volume, during a flash sale? I don't know. I'm curious on the dynamic nature of the code production and then how that works kind of from within Klaviyo.
Yeah. So it's usually for a campaign that's running like a little bit longer. You'll make a certain set of codes, and then once it hits, let's say below 1,000 codes or something like that, then you want to replenish it just so you don't run out. And one of the things that people value the most about the Klaviyo integration in particular is, so something we saw in the report is buy X, get Y, which includes things like gift with purchase, is used 6 times more often by larger brands than smaller brands. And just in customer conversations with our larger brands, they love gift with purchase as long as as long as their catalog is suitable to it, right? You need the right variation and price points. But basically gift with purchase is a way to take excess inventory and boost AOV with it. And many large merchants find that gift with purchase converts better than something that would cost them a lot more money as a discount. So
I
it has a
see.
higher perceived value. And without our app, you can't do buy X, get Y with unique discount codes in Klaviyo. And so that's kind of like one of the biggest unlocks, that you get that automatic replenishing, but you can also do these discounts that especially the larger brands care a lot about that you otherwise couldn't.
I see. And then so I see that there is an audit feature, like a discount risk audit, meaning that you can kind of flag, some, I guess, missing expirations or limits or maybe even eligibility kind of issues that can happen. It seems like it can get quite complex, and I think you guys kind of fix that by doing this audit. Like, are there any kind of common discount mistakes that you see that maybe are kind of, I'm going to say like quietly killing your margin, but kind of doing that?
Yeah, so we're actually currently working on a new report that's going to be diving into this, but we don't have all
Ah,
the data yet. But something that we see is pretty much all of those limits that are in the report there. So expiry on like your expiry date should probably not be more than 6 weeks after the
right.
start date. The maximum free shipping, especially if you ship internationally, needs to be set. You Usually when marketers are being strategic with their discounts, they're only applying to certain collections. So it shouldn't apply to all of your products, only products you're trying to move. And so a lot of these are underused is our hypothesis.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
from
yeah.
anecdotally talking to our customers and seeing what's going on. And so we're excited to see what data we can pull from that and what the patterns are. But for an individual brand, you can go in there and it'll tell you specifically what you may have forgotten or what wasn't on your radar.
Mm. It's interesting, you mentioned about exporting to direct mail, and I know there's a few other solutions. I mean, Klaviyo has their own, but there's a few other partners out there that kind of offer that. Like, are you seeing brands starting to now successfully use direct mail with unique codes like associated to them? It seems so interesting because we're so kind of trained about being inundated either through SMS, which is kind of like, the coveted area, but I'm kind of typing in stop quite a bit for a lot of brands. But email for sure has its angle. But imagine getting a postcard with a unique coupon code auto-generated like in your mailbox. Like, it seems interesting to me, and that's what a great way to have people grab their mail, and then, man, you have their attention instantly. If Viore was to send me something, or who knows, like another brand that I follow, and get it, and this is unique for me. Hey, Steve, and here's a code that's unique for me with a time limit kind of associated to it. It seems quite interesting, and I bet the conversion rate is quite high on that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have specific data points around this, but
Uh-huh.
direct mail is very popular with our app. And I think some of the things that drive it. So usually when you think of direct mail, you think of that postcard, and you usually think of it as like a new customer acquisition channel. Like it's like cold outreach, but it's often not. It's used in the same way that like email or SMS marketing life cycle is used. So it includes prospecting, but it also includes a lot more. And it can be a postcard, it can be a catalog. The one thing I've seen is something to consider is like what's the age demographic of your audience, and definitely if it skews older, then like a big catalog is something that we see a lot of brands doing with that kind of demographic. But across all ages, when you receive a personalized postcard with a unique discount code that's better than a discount that you could get from some blanket discount on their site, that's compelling, and it becomes top of mind, and it's something you're going to see because you have to check your mail. So
Yeah. So then what about like the learning curve? Let's say a brand's kind of never used kind of unique codes before. Like, is there a learning curve? Because it'd be great to kind of like just understand, like, hey, install this bulk discount code bot. Let's say today you do it at 2 o'clock, and then like, how long does it take until I can kind of like export my first set of codes and like start a campaign? Like, can this, like, is this flow fairly easy for people to implement?
it should be.
That's the goal.
That's a key goal of ours.
Yeah.
But basically how it works is you'd install the app, you hit create discount, you name your discount. So it can be new subscriber discount, something like this. You select how many codes you want to generate. So maybe it's 10,000 codes. It'll generate them within like 2 minutes. And now you can export them and upload them to Postpilot or Mention Me. You can do the direct Klaviyo integration, which just automatically connects them. There's no export, and you start running your campaign. And then something we've added more recently is no matter what channel you distribute your codes in, you'll get to see the redemptions, the AOV, the revenue, and visualize that. So if you do any like monthly or quarterly reporting, it's all there for you.
I
So
see.
hopefully pretty easy. If it's
Yeah.
not, reach out to me and we will change things.
100%. So I've always, been a little bit concerned, and I know brands have mentioned this to me before about the financial liabilities that go along with active coupon codes in the marketplace. I mean, as a brand starts scaling up, I think the CFO starts thinking about like, holy smokes, man, we have a lot of like financial liabilities out there in the wild. I know having expiry dates and doing your audit kind of mitigates a lot of that risk, but can you talk more anecdotally about like how a brand should think about these one-off active coupon codes that are out there versus more generic coupon codes that are out? Because I mean, they really do hit the P&L, because if they're out into the wild, and especially if they get picked up by Honey or Capital One or whatever, there's always this margin loss thing. But overall net, it's a much larger problem when you kind of relate it to the P&L of a business. Just curious on your mindset around that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Yeah, of course, if you use unique discount codes, you're just gonna have so much more control. So
Right.
it's
Yeah,
it's scary if you
it
have
is.
something if you have a good discount on Honey or Capital One Shopping, like, that's scary. That's you wanna hopefully our audit would flag that for you, and you wanna catch that and rein it in to prevent just leaking margin. For as far as, like, budgeting and the finances of it, it's really interesting to think of it in that way. But I've talked to our larger brands who tend to have, like, multiple departments that are running campaigns. They'll have, like, marketing is the big one, but also customer service uses unique discount codes if any customer has a bad experience. And so they'll usually give, like, a monthly or quarterly budget to each department, and then they go in and they see what's performing better, and then they'll have something like an efficiency budget on top of that. So if your discount is performing really well, then you get the efficiency budget, and so then you get to expand the offer, basically.
I see. Yeah, I know. I've read enough around what Honey, like, I think PayPal owns Honey now, and I think it seems like a lot of them are earning like affiliate commissions when they find a code that actually works. And I think there's even like a whole business around offering these codes to people that actually have them and have these browser extensions kind of added. But I also feel that maybe your solution kind of makes a lot more sense because when you have expiry dates and, let's say you generate 50,000 codes, for a Q1 campaign, and I think that's a really smart approach, having an expiration. It motivates people. They can be circulated all they want, but in your particular case, it's one-on-one to the person. And then, I think the financial liabilities are kind of gone, and then all of a sudden the CFO feels a little more warm and fuzzy that there's not more margin loss that can happen in the future because these are made one-on-one based on a campaign. And I think that's the power of using your solution.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think the reality is, like, we all have a lot to do, right? We're all
Yeah,
really busy, and so if when you're creating your campaign, you don't have those safeguards in place, then you're creating, like, this debt for you to come back to later and hopefully remember. And so if you can just use unique discount codes, set expiry dates, set collection restrictions, things like that, then you can more freely experiment and find these different discounts that are going to be really efficient for your brand and not have that fear that you're exposing too much risk.
yeah. So kind of before we wrap up, like, so let's say someone's like listening right now and they're still running generic codes, like they have the welcome 10 or the save 15, and they're doing that across their whole entire store. Like what's one thing that you would want people to do today, like starting this week, like how they want to start thinking about discounts more strategically? Like, what can they learn more about like what you're building at Saguna right now with this bulk discount code bot, and just kind of what you believe kind of next steps should be?
Yeah, so I'd say the first discount that I usually tell people to do is to change your new subscriber offer to be a unique discount code. It's really easy, it's really fast, and then you're ensuring that they actually sign up for email and or SMS, and you can start to experiment. What if I offer 15%, 10%, 20%? What if it's a free pair of sunglasses with purchase, right? What are the different offers that are going to do best? So I definitely start with the new subscriber. And then the second most popular one in marketing life cycle is win back. So if your list is big enough to have like a meaningful win back opportunity, that's a great second one. And I just get started with it. I think there's a perception that it's hard, but it'll take you like less than 5 minutes, and then you'll have it running with unique discount codes. You'll get that accurate attribution. You'll have reporting on what's working, and then you can do what I think is really fun, and it's also really impactful, the job of figuring out what are the discounts that my customers care the most about,
Right.
especially for different customer segments.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like you can really uncover like both the risks and the opportunities and saying, hey, you know what, like, you know, 75% are, have used this one, or they're discount eligible, but like 13% didn't use it at all. Or it's so interesting. Or I'm just looking at some of the different, I guess discounting strategies and stuff like that. It's so interesting where, 46% expired and never used it, even though they got it. And that's interesting. And like how do you market against that? So I think the granular data is there by creating these codes. And I think it's quite interesting. Like what do you, and I guess one of my last kind of parting questions I'm thinking about right now, just because you're deep into this industry, but it's just like where do you see like commerce going now from a discounting strategy? Like in the next 12 months, I know it's hard to have a crystal ball or a magic wand, but like where are we moving towards? Is it more personalization? Is it more segmentation? I'm just curious because you're obviously building this product and you're seeing great use cases. I just want to make sure that there's some sophisticated brands that are listening right now. They're like, okay, well, where do we believe the discounting coupon code market is headed? And because it's in this way we can kind of like hedge a few bets and kind of can start preparing now.
Absolutely. I think it's exactly what you said and you've alluded to a few times, which is personalization, right? Like with AI, we now as consumers expect personalization, expect great personalized experiences everywhere, and increasingly so. And discounts are a way, like I'm talking about it as the marketer, I'm going to get them to convert, but it also makes the customer feel valued and seen and understood. And you reward your loyal customers, right? You help turn people into loyal customers. And so I think personalization is going to become the default. And it's great to see a lot of brands are already really personalizing like their email and SMS marketing, but somehow discounts a lot of the time aren't like part of that. And for brands that are growing fast, these larger brands, it really is. And so I think more and more it'll be personalization.
Yeah, this is amazing. All right, so it's bulk discount code bot. You can actually go to the Shopify App Store. I'm there right now. We have lots of 5-star reviews. They actually are 4.9 average. So clearly people love this solution. I have a great video there. I'll put a copy of this guide that we put together, the benchmark report for the end of 2025. And I think that will open people's minds about, the research that you found based on these, 160-some thousand code sets that you've kind of analyzed. So it's really neat that you put this all together into something. And that's why I had you on. When I saw this, I'm like, okay, I think we need a podcast recording to talk about this because it's really interesting stuff and it's impactful. And at the end of the day, it helps move the conversion needle ahead, which we really want as a brand founder, right? And a marketer. So, Kara, thanks for coming on the show. Thanks for sharing, and I wish you continued success and iteration with this app and Seguno Company. So thanks again for coming.
Thanks, Steve.
Have yourself a great afternoon. Well, that's it for today's episode. I'd like to thank you personally for being a loyal listener of E-commerce Fastlane. It's my hope that this podcast is offering you a ton of value through growth strategies, tactics, and exclusive insider tips on the best Shopify apps and marketing platforms, all with my personal goal to help you build, manage, grow, and scale a successful and thriving company powered by Shopify. Thanks for investing some time today and listening to the show. I'm so proud and excited that you have a growth mindset and are a constant learner. I truly appreciate you and your entrepreneurial journey. Enjoy the rest of the week and keep thriving with Shopify.